Again, we changed this middle linebacker to a middle read. Now, we can do a couple things with the defensive line. I can pinch them, and if you notice, they're kind of more in that 4-eye look. Problem is with Madden, it really kind of borks out run blocking. So this might be something we could talk about, as a league maybe, or, whoever the competition committee is. But right now, the way this is drawn up, I wish that R1 wasn't there. But if you notice, I would put Sue. Let's see. There's got to be, yeah. So this would be more what we would do. Pinch the line, slant him out. That puts Sue here on a, kind of a two-way go. Has him, supposed to come outside the tackle and him go outside the tackle. And like I said, I don't really like the positioning of this. This is kind of like a tight 3. A 3 technique is, it's a little bit more head up, but that's kind of like a loose 3 or a loose 4-eye. Here he's more head up, so that's a 4, and here's a 5, which is their default. So probably this would be where I would want them to go. And again, they would be looped out. This is what we'd call in life our loop-based defense. Basically, he's got outside contain out here. Okay. The weak side dog is going to have basically this run gap right here, the B gap. Okay. Same thing on this side, just opposite. Okay, Brockers is trying to fight outside the tackle. He doesn't care about the tight end. And this guy's basically recovering where Brockers is at right now. He's got B gap. And depending on how we want to do it in real life, if I put everything back where it was, if you notice, I guess the defensive line just doesn't change with the audibling. Anyway, let's say, I wanted to put Sue on something like this. Well, anyway, you see my point. If I wanted to slant the defensive line, I could. Basically, we just go opposite gaps. So this linebacker's got this gap. Again, if I'm slanting in, he's supposed to come all the way down here. Again, this is real life, not necessarily in Madden. He would come A gap, and, he would line up a little bit tighter if he knows he's going that far. And, he'd still have B gap right here. Or I could widen them out or let them get back to there. If he was at his, normal spot where he's at, here, if you notice he's going, now in the B gap, so what I would tell this dog is that now he's got that contain. Whereas in loop, right, the tackle has contain. Now this end would have B gap. But if I pinch, now if you notice he's got the A gap, and this is, again, this would be if they were in their normal spot. Let me just reset everything. And try to come back out to just a regular Joe Blow. Alright, so you notice their normal alignment here. Okay. And this, we would still call this loop. He would come in here, B gap. At the other end would go B gap as well. If you notice, Sue is slanting to his right, so then this guy would have the opposite gap. Basically, I'm just going wherever the defensive end, or wherever the defensive tackles aren't going. Wherever my D-line isn't going, that's where my linebackers are going. Okay, now, the dog's out here, he's got secondary contain. Okay, he's pass first, right? So he's going to, in real life, he's probably going to, well, he's not going to, but he's going to shuffle because we'll have him turn sideways, or more caught to the quarterback. Can't really do that here in Madden, but he'd probably be more like Well, the corners aren't even caught. But he probably looked more like this guy would in real life. So what would happen is, you know, shuffle, shuffle, read, come downhill, right? That's essentially what his first steps are. So shuffle, shuffle, come downhill. Okay, now, and that's not counting any blitzes. This is, again, just all the cover 3 base. Now, if you notice, there's only 3 men rushing on this play. Okay, now, blitz this weak side. It is only a 4-man rush. So we do not count that as a blitz, because it's a 4-man rush. Here, the guy was now is vacated, and now it's like any old regular 4-man rush. Cover 3 spot. Right? So, I have a different option. I can blitz this dog, and I'm going to say, hey, if I blitz the dog, I'm going to replace him with my end. And back to replace. This is what we call a double dog blitz, and obviously we have this like this. But it's a little janky just from what I'm showing you, but it actually works okay, man. At this point, I mean, this is a fire zone blitz. Now we're at a blitz. Okay, so if I'm going to blitz a dog, I, as the user, have to be able to come over this way. That's essentially what we're doing. Do this every play can look different, even though it's the same. It's a matter of who's coming. So the big idea behind the 3-3-5 is that you don't know who's coming. It always looks the same. No matter what I have, this look is always going to be the same. And again, I mean, I could pitch the line if I really wanted to. Let me reset this. I can slant these guys if I want to. For example, let's say I want them to slant, away from the strength. Again, he would come here, and this is kind of more real life thing. Ideally, he's going to get outside the tackle, and he's just replacing this guy, right? And this guy doesn't change at all. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, if I really want to as well, let me do this. If I want to, I don't really know how this works in Madden, but I could slant my defensive line and blitz this backer here. I wonder if I could do that if I do this. Yeah. Notice how now, like, he's kind of coming outside. There's not a great way to get him to loop around the tackle. But that's another way we could set up the blitz, and now, like, instead of, if we look at it in base. Oh, my God. Okay, if I look at it in base, if you notice that he's, like, coming inside the tackle on his blitz, I can put on a twist and say, okay, now you're coming outside on the blitz. And, in real life, and I could probably do this if I usered it, but I don't know if I necessarily want to take away my coverage, my user coverage. If I wanted to go double dog, and by the way, this is our mad blitz because it's away from the strength. Maybe there's a good way to do this. No. I guess you could probably do something like this. Like, right now I'm saying I'm sacrificing the flats. I could also do this, curl flat here, and make this guy go on a middle read, maybe. Nope, they took that out. So, based on the limitations of Madden, I would probably have to user this guy, but, in real life, I wanted to, this guy could blitz out here, and then this guy would fold right inside, kind of like the blitzes you have in Madden right now. Now, you might be saying, why wouldn't you call that? And I could, right? So that's one of those things where I'm basing out of my cover 3. But if I want to, let's see if it's in here. Okay, even the overload press isn't really it. Because I don't want to necessarily always drop my my defensive linemen. Because, again, they're not going to be, you know, real athletes. And also, notice how the linebackers move. Like, if you're a user, you know something's coming. Which sometimes is okay. And this is essentially the same blitz that I just set up. The only difference is this backer's coming and this guy, this tackle right here, is now replacing the mic. Same blitz I just set up. Okay, so if I go back to... Sorry. So if I go back to this look right here, and that actually looks pretty dang good. You know, if I pinch everything in, that looks really nice because they're directly stacked. And, you know, again, if I want to, I can really the looks of this. You know, now he's coming. If I wanted to, you know, he's coming. And probably what I would also have to do, if I can, doesn't look like I can. Yeah. If I wanted, you know, these guys could be seam flats in an ideal world. Yeah, so like at least I could turn one of them to a seam flat. They're trying to make it a little bit more realistic. But that's essentially the basis of this defense. Is I want to give you the same look every single time with no showing of what I'm actually trying to do. So that's the beauty of this defense is you always can, number one, protect against the spread. Always, always, always you can protect against the spread. No matter what. The only thing that kills you is a fullback. And we're now in a modern age where fullbacks aren't really a thing. So you might ask, well, what do you do with fullbacks? Well, what we'll do in real life is we'll do something more like this. And this guy, these two guys are going to be directly stacked. Okay, so again, same exact defense. Cover 3 is our base. And I'm going to blitz this guy. This is what it would look like. It would look much more like a traditional cover 3 look. Right? This would be pretty much it. Now, in life, we're always going to slant these two guys. Okay? I don't want them to sit still. And, for example, since Madden is actually pretty decent about this is my designated rusher. I can always have it where, you know, the right end is always my designated, or my left end is always my designated rusher, or my right end. So, for example, in one of the franchises I'm in, I'm the Chiefs and Justin Houston. I want to get him to be a primary rusher, right? So maybe I would put him here, and I would always, if they come out in a under center set, I would always, you know, have him come down here. And this is pretty much the premise of the defense. Again, if I really want to, I can also, and again, would probably press, I can really honestly do this something like this, where I can go deep half, or if there's a deep third, outside third, right? Now, all of a sudden, I have like a cloud coverage, but I would probably, like if I wanted to go cloud coverage, if I wanted to do this, I'd probably call it cloud coverage. There's a cloud coverage in the playbook. So if I really wanted to do something like this, I'll probably just call it. Just because that's a lot of freaking adjustments. But, you know, regular, there's not that many adjustments. There's basically here, and then whatever I want to do. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll blitz all my linebackers, and then I can either try to drop everybody, or I usually don't want to touch the DT, but you know, I can put in 2 vertical hooks here, and now and I would use whoever's over this tight end, and now, you know, I have the same base cover 3 look, It's just a matter of who's dropping. Another thing that I can do, you know, I could, let me do it like this. Blitz here, and now when I'm usering, you know, I might do something like this. And again, it's all about the looks I want to give, and if I want to get, or try to get a little bit fancier, something like that. Like, see, this is a good bit blitz path. This is kind of more of what I was looking for. Why it changed now, I'm not really sure. Right? So you're asking yourself, you know, well, when do you call man? Anytime you rush, you know, more than 5. So if I were to call, you know, this all dogs, number one, he wouldn't be blitzing. But this is just an example. You know, I have now 7 guys blitzing. But if you notice, the look hasn't really changed from where I'm at. Madden makes it change, right? But the play itself hasn't changed. So that's just a couple of different things that we can do. And this is kind of just a playbook I threw together. One of the things, and you know, 3-3-5 wide is what we would call our double hawk look. It's kind of the same premise. You're wanting to base out of your cover 3, but you're really doing more of this 3 Sam Will blitz here. If you're in this position, you're doing more of the 3 Sam Will. That's kind of where you're coming from. And so this is a, you know, one high look all the time. And then again, if you notice, there's not much difference between the Mike blitz and the Sam Will blitz. It's a matter of the middle linebackers dropping, and on the Mike blitz 3, you know, my right tackle is dropping to replace the middle linebacker. And again, I know that's really elementary, and you could also do this from, you know, I guess technically any formation, but the 3-3-5 is just so unique because I'm always going defensive backs on the field. I have athletes on the field no matter what. So the other one is the 3-3-5 odd. I haven't really dabbled in this, but I would imagine I would do, you know, something similar. Okay, I think this is supposed to be like their eagle look. And this is actually going to be a hawk, because it's to the strength of the formation, right? And how I do it in life, this guy here is going to be stacked still. So if you notice, the alignments here are actually much better. They're like directly over the offensive tackles, which is what you want in real life. And again, these guys are going to be directly over. Nothing changes with the exception of the fact that maybe this guy in life, we might put it down to a 3 instead of him slanting in. Just go ahead and move him down to a 3. You know, so maybe I could just pinch, and that doesn't really change a whole lot. Right? So just pinch the line. Now I'm in a much better hawk look. If you notice, this guy's going to come inside the tight end. He might line up either head up on him in an 8, or he'll line up out here in a 9. Even if this tight end, let's say, is out here, his position doesn't change because I have the safety out there already. So no matter what, he's going to play a ghost 9, no matter what. And he's always going to come right here off the hip of the tackle. Okay? So no matter what, so this tight end's here, this guy might... It would depend on a game plan. You know, if you're dealing with a guy that, or a team that really likes to move that tight end down inside, you know, we want to make sure that's his gap. So we might line him game plan situation. You know, or if they're like a huge outside zone team, we might line him up, you know, really wide 9. You know, but that's, again, not necessarily Madden related, but real life related. And again, I have all my different options here. I can blitz this guy, replace, and not much changes. Another thing I can do, you know, I can still blitz this guy and it just turns to a fire zone. And if I want to, I can always replace him, right? So there's a couple of different options. One of the things that I'll actually do a lot of is something like this. And you might say, well, this guy isn't an athlete. Yeah, but the hope is to cause enough confusion that You know, and I can actually turn this guy to a seam flat. So if, you know, number 2 gets vertical, I'm good. And I probably wouldn't do it against, you know, this guy being so wide, but definitely, you know, I would easily do something like this to the tight end side. He's coming, he's on. So as a quarterback, the hope is that you get really, really confused in your reads. Because you're like, well, he's you know, oh, the safety's blitzing. You know, and then again, I could also just have him replace. Like so. Right? So I could blitz the safety, but nothing changes. But as a user, you might not necessarily see it. Let's see. That does nothing. Spreading does nothing. That's interesting. Okay. So, again, this alignment is really, really good. And again, if I want to, you know, I can still press. Ideally, this is a blitz, you know, a press-heavy scheme. If I were to let's call it man, and just see what happens. Let's see, which one would I want? Is there one where the linebackers actually drop in? See, I would probably use the cover one contain. Reason being, the reason I would use this one in particular is because I already have a guy blitzing, and if I want to, I can have this guy pretty easily just drop into a, well, maybe not. Why could I not put my outside linebacker into a hook zone? So, I mean, I would just have to use this guy, I guess. But, you know, I could also just replace, right, and now I can have a hook curl or a middle read. You know, spread them out a little bit to make the blitz angle a little bit better. You know, again, with the adjustments of Madden, this would be tough, but I could also do something like this, right? And I'm just changing the path. So this is a little bit more to the true blue feel of what the 3-3-5 is all about. So since he's coming, he would go inside, right? That sort of thing. And again, I'll probably just pinch these guys every time. But again, this is something that we can talk about because I really don't like how far inside they go. Again, I would like them to be a little bit more like this. So those are just a couple of things that I could do. You know, and it's tough. You know, one of the other things that you can do, and there's kind of a play like this that we've already done, but I could do something like this. You know, now it's a zero pressure blitz, or a cover zero blitz. But again, as the quarterback, you don't necessarily know it. In real life, this guy would move down. This, you know, I would have something like this, right? One of the other things that'll happen in life, let's move this guy back where he was. Actually, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, so all this is against a regular 2x2 set. Again, I don't care that this tight end over here is a tight end. I care that he's a second receiver. So my reads are still the same. You know, if I read from left to right with square Marshall, you know, that's 1, 2, and that's it for that left-hand side. And then I would have Thomas be the 1, Watson be the 2, Kamara be the 3. So, you know, the number system doesn't really change. I could also take this guy here if I really wanted to and put him in a curl flat or something. I don't know. Just kind of whatever I'm feeling. The fact that I can't take these guys and put them into I guess I could put him into a vertical hook. You know, that's an interesting look. But you have to anticipate that maybe they're both blitzing. Or, you know, you would have to anticipate that you know, I'm overloading, bringing cover 0. Again, the big thing is that this guy has to be a dog. No pun intended, right? He would be about 5 yards off. So that's kind of a big thing. With this defense is creating the same look every time, no matter what. But again, this would be my base. You know, if a guy wants to come out and pound the rock, I did add, let's see, I put $1 there for like my actual nickel package if I want to go more speed. You know, I wouldn't necessarily, again, I can necessarily stay in this one high look. One of the biggest downfalls for me is this formation here. I don't have a cover 3 match. There's no palms, no quarters. There is a cover 2, but there's no match coverages here. So that's probably be a little bit of a challenge. Let's see. I think this one might have, yes, at least this has a cover 6, a cover 3 cloud, which we have in the other one. Cover 3 match. So I think if I want to go more match, I could. And this one is just a blitz package is all it is. Not a whole lot more, not a whole lot less. If somebody wants to come out and start really trying to pound, just drop to the 3-4 bear. But ideally, I want to stay here as much as possible. Just set my little sweet zone. So if he comes out in the I formation, let's say, again, I can do it one or two ways. I could say, well, let me get my lineman more involved and put my backers weak side. And again, I would probably do something like this. You know, now it's more of that. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Probably something like this. You know, this is the more traditional look. Because if you notice, this guy can fold inside. And ideally in life, this guy stays out here. I never want to actually stay in a too high look unless I'm going like Tampa 2 or cover 4 or something like that. This guy's always going to stay down here. So maybe that's something that we can talk about. Let's see what happens. See, once I move him, he stays. So I want to see something real quick. Let's say I come out in it. And again, this is all just kind of experimental and in development. This is something that I would like to do. And it's something I've tried to do several times. You know. This isn't the first year I've done something like this. So instead of him being like this, what happens if I just flip? Right? And do something like this. Right? So now this is more the look that I want. The bigger problem that I have with this is that now my free safety came down. Or, you know, he could come down. Which is okay. It's not the worst thing in the world, but... So this would be the look, and then again, I would probably do something like this to try to make the alignment sound. I don't know about this one. That's a little bit weird. This is if they run left. But, you know, the run fit right looks almost correct. Let's see. If I slant these guys. See, in life, he would come here. This guy would always, he's always coming inside the tight end. He would always crash inside the tight end. Same thing for this guy. He would stay in a ghost 9 out here. He wouldn't line up real tight here. He would stay out here in a ghost 9, and he's going to fight to come off the tackle's butt, which would be the same thing that I'd want here. But the only way I can get that is by pinching my line. So again, probably a sacrifice that I need to make. And again, this guy would be blitzing. This guy would come out in a hook curl. So as you can see now, we're kind of more in this 4-2-5 alignment, which is the goal. Because this is a multiple defense. You know, so if we run the play, notice how we got all the gaps. Okay. So you can see how all the gaps get filled on that. And part of that's user, part of that is bad AI. But I think all in all it worked out okay. Biggest thing is Barker's got reach there. Right, if Barker doesn't get reach, that's an easy blow up in the backfield. But you can see how much force help I got. Also, this safety does a terrible job. In life, okay, if you have this, he's staying outside. Watch how he shucks him in. See how he comes inside? He would stay outside and fight pressure. So again, no big deal if you notice. The only real weakness, if you notice, I don't have anybody over the center here. Although I do have these guys kind of pinching. You know, ISOs will kill it. So if you come out in a power run game. So if you come out in a power run game, that would kind of be where you're at in life. You know, so obviously every defense has weaknesses. This is kind of the weakness of this particular defense. But I think it outweighs, again, not many teams come out in I formations and try to just pound you stupid. It just doesn't happen like that. And also, this is kind of bad usering by me. If you notice, I kind of overrun. If I stay back, he probably doesn't cut back there. And again, does a user do that? Nah, I don't know. Okay, so again, we probably flip the play to get the safety to come down, so we get the look that we want. He's out. So what happens if I want to do something like this? Not a whole lot changes. Okay. You know, again, he would come into a hook curl. I would blitz the outside linebacker. And now we have something we can work with. See, that was a little bit better. Obviously, the AI isn't very good. But, so I could do it either way. I don't think it much matters. I don't want him to come over that far. I want him to stay stacked. Again, this is just to try to stay more representative of my real-life defense. You know, I can slant them either way. Probably more this way. Right here. And that's pretty good. And again, this is like one of the better defenses in the game, so. But that's kind of the basis of the 3-3-5. This is what I'm wanting to do and how I'm wanting to try to implement it. You know, and again, if a guy comes out here, I can still call every single thing that we've done so far today from right here. Right? I can still blitz this guy. And because of the formation, I would probably just leave it, honestly. If running back comes out to the flats that we just vacated, you know, he would just follow. And also in real life, what you would have is you would have a peel, so he would blitz. Let's say Kamar comes out to the left side, he would just follow him. Right? Also in real life, you know, he could start cheating in, all that good stuff. But yeah, so I can still blitz here. Nothing really changes. Probably wouldn't do this against this set, but I mean, I guess if I knew it was passing, I could. Again, probably would go seam flat. Get this guy back down. Okay, so here we are. Here's where we're at. Wow, look at that. That's weird. Okay. So here we are. One of the other things I could do, I can blitz everybody here, like both these linebackers, and then just have him come up into and have these guys come into vertical hooks. Why he would go to the same side? Okay, that makes sense. You'd have to be a little bit more careful because it's not a hook zone. Well, I guess the defensive tackle you can, but the defensive, or the nose you can, but the defensive tackle you can't. I guess. It's a little bit strange, right? Kind of strange. So anyway, you don't know who's coming. You have to account for at all times 8 guys in the box, even though both of these guys are, cover guys, but they're also the dogs. With the Chiefs, I have Eric Berry. I'd have to find another strong safety. The free safety that I drafted last year is perfect. I like the corners I have. And then on my defensive line, I would have Ed Oliver, Chris Canty, and then whoever I can find. Whoever that third guy is. Maybe I'll leave Justin Houston on the line. Maybe, if that's allowed. Maybe I would actually have Canty, Oliver, and then whoever my current nose tackle is, and trade Justin Houston. So there's different possibilities, different things to think about. But that is how I would do it. So, just let me know, guys, what you guys think, and see if this is something that would be reasonable to run. And that's all I got. Peace.